All right, hello, Pints Up. You there?
Yeah, G, what's up?
Hey, what up? All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Logos Triumphant, episode number 41. I'm Spexo, and as always with Pints Up, doing it on a Twitter space again. How you doing, Pints Up?
I'm doing pretty good, man. I woke up not that long ago, so I'm just chilling right now.
Same. I worked a graveyard shift, so I've been up like all night, and I'm like, I don't even know what day it is right now.
That's brutal, dude.
Yeah.
Brutal. Was it
But
a tough shift last night?
I mean, it wasn't too bad. But it was just the hours are all messed up, and like my job is that like I could work any hours. Like there's no set hours, so like I never have a proper sleep schedule, which is definitely not healthy. So.
Oh, I feel you on that.
But yeah, so there's a lot to talk about. We haven't did an episode since we went to AFPAC. We both did recap stuff, so I guess we'll talk a little bit about AFPAC and how awesome that is. We'll do some glazing of America First and Nick, I'm sure, and I also want to talk about Jordan Peterson and Sketch and what else? Oh, the Pope doing the what was the thing that we were talking about where he's doing for female leadership or something?
So the DDF, the Dicastery for the Doctrine of the Faith, was going to come out with a document on like female leadership roles. And I've still been trying to like look for articles on it and stuff like that, especially from Catholic news sources. But I haven't really seen a whole lot, to be honest.
All right, cool. So yeah, we'll talk about some of that stuff, but first, as always, let's begin with prayer. So, in nomine Patri et Filii et Spiritus Sancti, Amen. Pater noster, qui es in celis, sanctificetur nomen tuum, adveniat regnum tuum, fiat voluntas tua, sicut in cielo et in terra, panem nostrum quotidianum da nobis hodie, et debite nobis debita nostra, sicut et nos dimittimos debitoribus nostris, et ne nos inducas in tentationem, sed libera nos a malo. Amen.
Ave Maria, gratia plena, Dominus tecum, benedicta tu mulieribus, benedictus fructus ventris tui, Iesus. Sancta Maria, Mater Dei, ora pro nobis peccatoribus, nunc et in hora mortis nostrae. Amen. In nomine Patris et Filii et Spiritus Sancti. Amen.
Awesome. So Sketch is a gay retard. How are you feeling about? How are you feeling about that?
Well, I
So,
was just gonna say, maybe he should change his name to Stretch because that's a whole lot of what was
oh my
going on.
goodness gracious, it's and Sketch. Like I don't know, maybe I'm a millennial, but Sketch was like the millennial sus. Like when I was in college, like if you were acting gay, you were like, yo, that's mad sketchy. Like you know what I'm saying? Like or if like you were like considered a rat or something like that, or like suspects, you were called Sketch. So it's pretty funny that this gay retard is what we used to call like gay retards in college. But but I don't know. What is your whole feeling? Because I did see a lot of like Christians and stuff saying like, oh well, we need he admitted to what he did was wrong, and we need to pray for him and stuff, which I agree with, but also he needs repentance. He needs to be shamed. He needs to he needs to be canceled, basically. Even if he's repentant, and I hope that he doesn't kill himself. That's horrible. And besides all that, it shows that society is horrible. That young men are thinking about suicide or being willing to do disgusting acts for degenerate purposes or whatever. But also, he needs to be held responsible for his actions. And addiction is not an excuse to be a gay porn star. Um, I was addicted to actual drugs and never had any gay sex with any guys. No black guys, no white guys, Asians, no guys of any race. And so I don't think that's an excuse at all. How are you feeling about Sketch having sex with black guys for weed?
I think that's disgusting. I mean, the thing about it is, yes, anyone can repent and anyone can amend their lives, and Sketch is no exception to that. But in order to, repent and amend your life, it requires actual change. And just saying that you've repented and just saying that you've amended your life does not mean that you actually have, right? And so with him, my whole issue or my whole problem I fundamentally have with Sketch is it seems like it's a performative act. It seems like, well, I'm going to live my life the exact same way, very little change or anything like that. And I'm just going to claim, well, I'm different or I've changed, so therefore I have, right?
Mhm.
And I'm tired of seeing, I don't know if Catholics have been doing this, probably more Protestants, but I'm tired of seeing people eat that up with a spoon. That's not repentance, right? Repentance means actually amending your life in such a way that it affirms that you are sorry for what you've done. It's not just simply saying, I'm sorry, and then get a slap on the wrist and go scot-free, right? And
Hmm.
so, like, that's kind of my whole problem with the guy is, like, it seems like this, like, performance art, essentially.
Yeah, I don't know if it's just me, but like I would be more willing to hang out with like a murderer or like a ex-rapist or something than like a homosexual. Like I think that it's that I'm not even trying to be like edgy or something like that. Like if somebody's gay or whatever, that's clearly like some type of crazy intrinsically disordered thing about them that like, yeah, I mean, I pray for them, I wish them the best or stuff like that, but I can't like really relate to that or whatever. Whereas like a murderer or somebody, I could be like, okay, they made a mistake, they repented and stuff like that. But like, I can never find myself in a situation where I'm having sex with a black guy while cross-dressed and for marijuana, you know. Like
Oh,
it's
for
just
sure.
that specific sin of sodomy is like extra disgusting to me.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where it's, you know, I don't know if I would. Man, that's tough. I don't know if I would, if I'd want to hang out, cause like a rapist, like I don't think I'd want to hang out with like a former rapist. That feels a little too messed up. But,
What if he was?
but like I agree, like a former gang member, like yeah, I'd rather hang out with like literally a former gang member.
What if he
Like,
had to rape to get into the gang?
what if what if he had to rape black guys, dude?
Yeah, what if
Like,
he had to rape a
see,
black guy to get into the
yeah,
gang?
that kind of puts a whole new situation in. Because I mean, here's the thing: it's like it becomes like the top or bottom question. You know what I mean? Like like Sketch was clearly not on top, so what's
Oof.
going on? Like
But he
so
was
we
a
should go
power
there and hang
bottom.
out. What'd you say?
I think he was a power bottom though.
No, 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 no. But man, I mean, fundamentally, I agree with the sentiment of yeah. I don't like being around people who I know have done like stuff like what Sketch has done. It's gross and it's like very very off putting. You know
Like
what I mean?
I think that if you're a public person or whatever, like how society should work, where is like if we lived in a sane society and this guy was a popular celebrity or something like that, and it was exposed that in his past he did this gay stuff, his entire career would be ruined forever. He would never be allowed to step foot in public life again. He should probably do a little bit of prison time, probably at least 5 years, and that would be it. He would be ostracized from society, and we would wish him well. He should go to find like a church or something like that and find God or whatever. But like that's it. He's gone from society. And what that does, besides, teaches him a lesson for having certain justice and punishments for his sins, it shows society a certain moral standards and disincentivizes other people to do those disgusting acts.
Yes, because I think the problem is kind of what I was reading with Wurzelroot on stream the other day when we were talking about the Sketch situation, and it's like this idea of cheap grace, right?
Mhm.
And Dietrich Bonhoeffer talks about this, where cheap grace is essentially like I can be forgiven without actually repenting. I can receive communion without actual like belief or anything like that. It's this whole idea of I basically get to live Christianity without any of the discipleship or any of what like living a Christian life actually means, right? I just get to go through the motions and pretend I'm living one. And it seems to be that's what's going on with Sketch and all his supporters, right? I mean, they seem to be kind of the type to be like, well, someone says they're sorry, so they are, so just forget about it, and they shouldn't be held to any standard. It's like, no, dude, like he did something disgusting, and I think he does have to have a certain level of penance for that. I think, putting that to the side and being like, oh, he's fine, he doesn't need to, do any like repentance or change or anything like that. It's very dishonest and dishonorable. All of us have to, all of us have to own up to what we've done. And if we're any kind of man, we should be able to say, hey, I have wronged, and I said this yesterday, it's like, it's not even about how he's wronged me or you. It's about how he's wronged God, dude. Like, he has wronged God and he needs to own up to what, he has done to God than really any of us. And I have not seen a whole lot of that. I've seen just sort of the sympathy pleas about the whole suicide thing where it's just like, look, I don't want him to hurt himself or take his own life. That would be horrible. But it's like, Really, you're gonna trot that out there to be like, oh, don't criticize me or else I'll commit suicide?
Seems
Like,
like an attention grabbing thing. It's like is he really upset because of his actions being immoral, or is he upset because now his reputation has been ruined because he got caught and it was exposed?
he got caught. 100%. That's his whole thing. He got caught. I would have had more honor. Frankly, and I will go out and say this. I would have more respect for Sketch, even knowing what he did was just probably one of the most heinous and vile things you possibly do. I would have more respect for him if no one was going to find out like what he had done, and he's like, this isn't right, and he made like a public apology, and he was like, guys, no one was ever going to find this out or anything like that. But like, I want to own up to the fact that I did this and this was wrong. I would have a lot more. I'd actually have a ton of respect for that because it would show that he wasn't doing that just for his reputation. He was doing that to actually own up and atone for what he had done. But he got caught. And
Yeah.
so like the kid with the hand in the cookie jar, he wants to, now milk sympathy so that he's not going to be held to any liable standard.
Hmm. Yeah, I think a white pill too is that the fact that he did get so much pushback, the fact that the only people really defending him are these other faggot streamers, but the fact that he was exposed as doing this and people are like actually saying, all his little kid fans are saying, "Oh, I'm disgusted. I'm brokenhearted. You were my favorite streamer, and now I find out you're gay," and they're like abandoning him, and that's why he was so depressed and stuff because he was seeing all this hate or whatever. But the fact that that hate exists from this young generation is very white pilling, showing that like the younger generation is not enslaved to this gay nonsense and they realize that it is disgusting and repulsive and sinful.
No, it's great. And here's the thing, like, this is going to be me going out kind of on a whim when I say this, but honestly, if you're not on Cozy or you're not like an America First guy or you don't stream about Catholicism, your streaming sucks. Like you shouldn't be, like all these streamers, I don't care whether they're on Kick or, Twitch or what have you. They're the most like boring, banal people in the entire world. Like if you walk up to them, they have no special attributes. They don't stream about anything important or relevant. They quite literally aren't even that entertaining. Like I'll like tune into some of these guys' streams, like XQC or whatever. It's like, what are they doing? They're just like sitting there in a dark room. They look like every other 20-something-year-old nigga, and they're just like sitting on their computer being like, LOL, that video was so funny. It's like, dude, has our society gotten to this point where it's like, you could be just like some run-of-the-mill nigga and like everyone's gonna flock to your streaming? Like, you're not even doing anything cool, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, and I was actually I didn't know anything about what's his name Stretch Sketch. I didn't know anything about Sketch before the whole him being a gay race mixer or whatever. But the fact that he had to act like a retarded person in order to get popularity is just such like an L for American culture that is what little kids are like interested in. And it's like, okay, they're on one hand it's awesome that they're mad that he's gay, but they were on the other hand liking him for playing video games, acting like a retarded person and smoking weed. So it's like I don't know which one's worse.
Dude, it's ridiculous because the whole thing with it is like, he's not special needs. He doesn't have special needs. I've worked with and know people who do have special needs who I love them to death, dude. Like
Right.
here's
I love retards.
yeah, like like Down syndrome kids are like the nicest, most like kind-hearted people in the entire world, right?
Hmm.
I mean, literally like they live the love of Christ, right? And to see this like gay porn star pretend to like be special needs or whatever just to get like sympathy plea. It's like, he's not retarded, dude. He's like a normal fucking dude who just like got caught for doing some gross stuff. Like, let's stop pretending this
Yeah,
isn't what it is.
isn't that like mad immoral to like act retarded in order to to profit? You're profiting off of a fake disability. That's like
Yeah,
the opposite of
it
stolen
is.
valor, right?
It is.
That's stolen retardation. The
Stolen,
stolen retard valor.
stolen short bus, you know? But no, I mean, it's like one of those things where this guy is completely, I mean, that right there, doesn't that show that he's like a habitual liar? Like first he lies about, doing literally like the most degenerate thing in the entire world. Cause like pornography, like if you're willing to put yourself on the internet like that, like there's nothing like more shameful than that, right? There's like nothing more shameful than that, like putting yourself on the internet in that way, right? So not only does he do that, but then he lies and acts like he's some like special needs autist or whatever. It's like you're a normal dude who just looks like odd. That's it.
Do you know what the like lore is of how it was exposed? Because apparently it wasn't even hidden and it was just out there and he just never mentioned it and then all of a sudden it blew up. But how is he not expecting this? If he's not retarded, how is he not expecting if I become a big streamer, oh maybe I should do some OPSEC and delete my gay porn off the internet?
I have like no idea. I think it was one of those things where he maybe thought he could live like a double life. I mean, I said this about like, dude, I was vindicated on like that Nala chick, right? Because I actually was watching a video the other day that just happened to like talk about her for 5 seconds. About like, people, I think it was like people who had been on like the whatever podcast. I think it might have been like a Turkey Tom or like Philly on video. And like that girl, she quite literally had kept her OnlyFans up for long enough so she could reach the next pay period before taking it down.
Is that the
So
girl
she did,
that is that the girl that was an oldie fan girl and then decided to like convert to Christianity or something?
yeah, and all the simps were, in my comment section on Instagram being like, "Oh my goodness, don't attack her. She's repentant. Who are you to judge her heart?" And it's like,
Yeah.
"Oh, really? The bitch who kept her OnlyFans up for like, I don't know, a whole nother month so she could again reach the pay cycle and make more money off exploiting like young men and stuff like that." Like,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, like, how many of these niggas want to keep playing pretend with these people? Like, I'm so sick of, like, people will have these, like, fake repentance stories,
Yeah.
and then there will just be all these people that flood sympathy for them. And if you dare say, hey, I don't think that this person is being authentic, it's like, oh my goodness, you can't judge their heart. How do you know who they are? It's like, I know by their actions, dude.
Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly. And it's like, okay, they're repentant, but people have a misconception and a difference between like forgiveness and still having temporal punishments. There still needs to be temporal punishment, like such as shame and such as ostracization and jail time and sometimes the death penalty. Just because you've been forgiven and just because you've been repentant doesn't mean you still don't have to face the consequences for your sins.
No, not at all.
Mhm.
Everyone just thinks that they can magically like hit the reset button and they're like, oh, all my, all my faults, all my crimes that I've committed against not only my neighbor, but Almighty God,
Mhm.
he who I should be the most concerned with not sinning against. Yeah, I can just wake up one day and be like, I'm going to hit the reset button. Now everyone needs to pretend like I'm, living a magically new life and stuff like that when maybe I'm really not. And
Mhm.
if you dare call me out for saying that I'm really not, well, you're just a hater. I mean, it's the most like narcissistic thing in the entire world. If these people were actually humble, they wouldn't even do that. They're like, you know what? You're right. In fact, I'm not only going to delete like, if it was like the knowledge check, I'm not only going to delete my OnlyFans, I'm going to delete my Instagram. Now that's
Mhm.
something I would be impressed with. If she like deleted her Instagram, cause guess what? She still has like immodest pictures and videos up on that thing, right? But, repentant, converted by the way, right? Well,
Mhm.
meanwhile, she's still farming the same content and in the same audience that she used and wrangled because of her OnlyFans content.
Yeah.
And
No, they simultaneously repented.
what did you say?
Yeah, they all simultaneously repented, all her followers at the same time.
Oh
All
yeah,
the
yeah,
horny followers that were.
yeah. Magically, I mean, I'm sure they want to, listen to her give like Protestant, like boilerplate Protestant, evangelical theology. I'm sure that's really why they're there, looking at a 20-something-year
Yeah.
old woman. Yeah,
Yeah,
no other
she's an
reason.
intellectual powerhouse. That's what attracts the 20-year-old guys.
Yeah, she is, dude. I mean, listen, I will, I'll watch her Instagram sometimes, sometimes with the lights off, like, you're so smart, like,
Oh, that's awesome. But yeah, I think all these people need to really learn from Jeffrey Dahmer's example because he like actually repented and admitted all of his wrongdoings and accepted his like life sentence. And then when the black guy beat him to death with the barbell, he was just like, all right, this is what God wants. So like that's what these gay streamers need to be more like. They need to follow the example of Jeffrey Dahmer and truly repent and accept that like you're going to have to face consequences and it might be a black guy beating you to death with a barbell. Right, Pine Sap?
Oh my goodness. Maybe I wouldn't say the last part. But no, I mean, like jokes aside, like, yes, I mean, you have to actually show that you're sorry. There has to be an actual amend that you make. When you wrong and when you do wrong, and here's the thing, it's not about their audiences. Like, yes, they have scandalized their audiences, and just out of charity for one's neighbor, they should repent to a very much lesser extent for, scandalizing or wronging their audiences and lying to people. But again, it's all about God. Jesus is the one who's being wronged in all these interactions. It's not even about you or I. It's like Jesus is the one that we wrong when we sin. And so we should show him that we are sorry for wronging him, not because we lost our audiences, not because we lost clout or we lost
Right.
popularity on the internet.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say before too. Is like the fact that people are mad at him about like the gay stuff or whatever. It's like the moral compass is so broken. It's like, yes, the Sodom, that stuff is horrible and we should be shaming him for that stuff. But smoking weed and being a degenerate or people being promiscuous and stuff like that, that needs to be shamed as well. And it's kind of like cherry picking what degenerate behaviors we get mad over instead of like saying like, no, all of this is degenerate and all of it needs to be stopped and none of it is acceptable.
100%. 100%, dude. I think you hit the nail on the head.
Yeah, I'm a big nail hitter. Okay, so what about? Oh, let's. We haven't talked publicly together since AFPAC, right? So, how did you enjoy AFPAC?
Oh, dude, it was great. I mean, I had such a good time. Like I said, I wish I had known we were going to do a rally that day, because I would have been a little bit more dripped out. I wouldn't have been, the cargo
Wait,
shorts
yeah.
cape.
Well, hold on. Let's go through the mindset of the staff of what was going on because it
Well,
was like,
I thought we were just going to hang out at the house. And so I'm like, okay, if we're going to hang out at that, like, I'm not going to wear a two-piece suit just hanging out. So I'm like, I want to get comfortable. So I was like, okay, I'll just like put on a t-shirt, like put on some shorts, just hang out, like it'll be all good. And then I heard you guys were doing something downtown. I'm like, well, shoot, I don't really have time to change. So I'm like, okay, if we're just like partying or whatever, or just, hanging out, like having lunch or something, yeah, I probably don't need to change for that. So then I go down there, but then we start marching around and I'm like, oh shoot, dude, this is actually like a bigger event. This is like a bigger deal.
yeah. I was like, what are you wearing? It's so, but I mean, yo, honestly, it does, like in some of the pictures and stuff, it does look pretty epic that everybody's wearing suits and stuff and you're just in like your t-shirt and cargo shorts. It's like everybody's your security guard. It looks mad cool, actually. It's good aesthetic.
Dude, I have embraced it. I am cargo sap. I
There
am
you
the
go.
cargo short
Cargo
taker.
shorts, Groiper.
I'm cargo shorts groiper now. Like it is something. In some ways now I'm kind of happy I did it, because it has become like a meme onto itself.
Yeah. It's like the new purple polo Groiper.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, dude.
Yeah.
You hit the nail on the head.
It's a historic moment.
It's a historic moment, dude.
But yo, the rosary with 500 people was crazy.
Oh, absolutely, dude. I mean, that rosary was impressively powerful, and I mean, I heard people saying that like the, even like the cops and stuff like that were very, very impressed with, the
Decorum.
the decorum. Like I heard like some of them were very, driven almost like to tears and stuff like that. Just seeing like all these guys pray the rosary and adore, our Lord and Our Lady and stuff
Hmm.
like that. And I was really happy to hear that. I mean, I remember there was even a Muslim gentleman who came up to me after, and he was like, I've never prayed a rosary before, and that was really beautiful. And he's like, we love Mary a lot, and we love Jesus a lot and stuff like that. And that was very cool. And I mean, like Protestant Groiper came up to me and he was like, I'd never prayed a rosary before. Like that was really powerful for me and stuff like
Oh,
that.
let's
So
go.
it was like this moment of like kind of all of us coalescing in the one true faith.
Hmm.
Like even those outside of the faith, like kind of coming in and meeting in this moment to adore Jesus in the way that he is most deserving, right?
Mm.
And I think that was the most powerful thing about that moment is like we all did that in one voice and one acclaim, and it just sends a powerful message. It's like, yeah, I mean, the speech that I gave, like that was from the heart. Like I wasn't saying that just for good optics or just so like the media cameras or whatever could be like, oh wow, how can we make this like we can't make this not look bad, and then I would say something like messed up later. No, I meant every single word. Like we do love even our enemies. We do love the people who persecute us and stuff like that. We pray that they repent and stuff like that. Like I dream of a day, I want this to be possible when I say this. Like, how powerful would it be if one day, like, even someone like Dennis Prager or Ben Shapiro was like, "Hey, man, like, I've done a lot of bad stuff in my life, and like, I've advocated for a lot of stuff, and I've attacked Christ, and I've blasphemed His holy name, and I wanna repent for that, and I actually want to convert, and I want to become baptized and love Him for the rest of my life. Like, if that happened, dude, like, the world would be healing.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?"
Yeah. Like, so in AFPAC, before everybody started meeting up and stuff, when I first got there and we went to the TPUSA building, it was so gay and like dead, and people were just strolling around, and it was very corporate and just very boring and stuff. And then everybody started meeting up and we're doing the chants and stuff. And I just had all this adrenaline pumping. And the whole time just seeing all these people, how passionate they were, and seeing people holding crucifixes. And then we prayed the rosary, and then we were on stage, and then Nick coming and all this stuff. You felt this crazy palpable energy. Like you felt like the spirit of God, you know what I'm saying? Like that, like God was really with us, that we were doing something like important and different than anything else, and looking out into the crowd and seeing all these like young faces and seeing how like passionate and like loving they were and for this movement was like a feeling that like I could never express, and I feel like if the whole certain circumstances where it didn't get canceled and stuff like that, that spontaneous like coalescence of 700 Groypers going and making a rally that turned into a 500 person rosary, and then like a political rally. That's crazy. It was just a crazy feeling. And like, I don't think that would have happened if AFPAC wasn't canceled.
It's so true. I mean, I'm really reminded of that old saying, right? It's become kind of cliche, but I still love it. When life closes a door, God opens a window, right?
Hmm.
Like sometimes when things don't work out how you plan them to work out, God actually comes in and he changes things in such a way that it actually makes it better than even what it could have been, you know?
Yep. So true. What else? Oh, Juden Peterstein. You want to talk about him?
Wiederstein, yeah, dude. Man, that guy, the crybaby caper himself, right? I
Was
mean,
he like a big? Because you're like 10 years younger than me, right? How old are you? 22.
yeah, or no, 20, dude, 22. I'm 23.
You're 23. Oh, okay. So you're only
Yeah,
so you're seven. You're 7.5 years younger than me, I guess. Jeez.
yeah,
Okay. Still,
twenty
Was Juden
twenty.
Peterstein like a big thing when you were like a teenager and stuff? Because
Oh, dude, huge,
oh yeah.
huge. I mean, in high school, like he was the guy, right? I mean, I remember, especially in my hometown, like every adult was talking about him. Because I lived in a more conservative county, and every adult would talk about him. Every kid was, who was like invested in politics. Like their two main guys were like Ben Shapiro and Jordan Peterson, right? And they would always be like, hey, these guys are great. They're cool. Jordan Peterson is really deep and intellectual. And at the time that he sold himself, I could have totally seen that because he kind of had this aura at the time when he was kind of first cropping up. I mean, looking back on that time now, we realize how cucked it was, but you got to remember it's like, the world, or at least America, was starting off from a very liberal place. And so to have people like Jordan Peterson, sort of pressing back on that and giving some, pushback on kind of like the whole change in politics and stuff like that, especially around like 2015, 2016, like stood out to a lot of people.
Hmm. My opinion of him when I first started like hearing him was that he seems kind of smart, but he seems like he tries to over intellectualize simple concepts that are really not that hard to grasp, and that his book, the 12 Rules for Your Life or something like that, was just that. It was just saying like simple things, And I was like, okay, well, maybe there's a lot of people that don't have father figures or something, and they don't know a lot of these simple things or whatever, and maybe it could help them. And people are saying that it has helped them, and he obviously has a big fan base. Fine. And then he started this whole like crying thing or whatever. And then my opinion of him was like, okay, he's just like a mentally ill, like endearing boomer or whatever. But as time has gone by and has he shown his true colors, um, it obviously shows that he has nefarious intentions and he knows what he's doing and he's a manipulative freak who is a coward. And did you know? I just found this out. If you've seen the clip going around, that he had like his whole house plastered with communist Soviet paintings when his daughter was growing up. And he says that the excuse was that he kept them up to remind himself how bad communism was. Like, could you imagine? Like, yeah, that's why I have Hitler all over my basement, just to remind myself how bad the Nazis were. Like,
Yeah, in my home gym, I have pictures of Hitler everywhere. Just to remind myself that I need to punch Nazis.
yeah,
Right, I'm a
that's
Nazi puncher.
crazy, bro. And
One
how are
of
you gonna
Captain
be?
America.
How are you gonna be such like a pathetic man to go on multiple interviews and hysterically cry over and over again about nonsense, and then you want to present yourself, you're some type of moral intellectual thought leader that young men should aspire to be, when you present yourself as a faggot.
I mean, the biggest thing, man, and like my whole opinion with men crying is like, I've always been a more sensitive guy and I feel stuff deeply and that sort of thing. But it kind of depends what a dude is crying over. Like I don't care if someone cries a million times if it's over our Lord. Like if it is over our Lord and it is over the faith, like a dude could cry a million times and I would not knock him once for doing that. Right. Because that's meaningful. Like those are meaningful tears. But if you're gonna cry over like meaningless stuff like Jordan Peterstein does, where he's just like, and then I was walking down the street and I saw a bagel shop and I thought to myself, now there is the Apollonian man. He's this bagel peddler. He's trying to understand how the cosmic reality he lives in works by selling bagels, and it's just so deep. And he like starts breaking. It's like, dude, nigga, it's a bagel seller, bro. You know.
Yeah,
I mean,
and like we can't forget to mention that his daughter is a whore, which reflects negatively on him. Because if you have kids and you're trying to be some type of role model, then I'm gonna look at how your kids are living and see like, oh well, did you do a good job raising your kid? And your kid like had sex with Andrew Tate and is had like a child out of wedlock and is a single mother. So you're not a good dad.
100%. I mean, let's say, okay, not to give excuses for this because once is too many, but let's say like Jordan had, 9 kids and 8 of those kids were like, athletes, really just, great Christian guys and gals, great moms, great fathers. And you had like one of the 9 kids was just this like kind of crazy, doesn't care about the world, just kind of head on fire type person. Well, someone would look at that and be like, okay, that's reflective of like that kid. That's not reflective of the family because as you can see, the other like 8 children have turned out not only perfectly fine, but even great, right? I mean,
Hmm.
I understand that sometimes there is a little bit of like just the nature element that comes into the nurture stuff. I know this because, I've grown up with enough people and stuff like that where, sometimes their kids had legitimate like personality disorders that just made it so that it was like no matter what kind of parenting style they did, it seemed like they couldn't really get through to them. But that being said, that's kind of extremely rare, right? It doesn't happen every day. Most of the
Yeah,
time.
but like also that you got to think of certain situations where it's not the parent's fault, and then they become famous or whatever, and the parent will be like, I disavow what my child is doing and stuff like that. Whereas Jordan Peterstein is just constantly defending his daughter and has like an amicable, open relationship. Like you look at Lawrence Fishburne, the guy who plays Morpheus in The Matrix and stuff, and he's in John Wick 4 or whatever. His daughter became a porn star, right? And he basically publicly like disowned her, right? Because he said that doesn't represent my values. That's not how I raised her or whatever. And I'm not going to publicly be part of her life if that's what she's going to do and stuff like that, which is like the proper thing to do, Jordan Peterson has, I don't think he's ever spoken out about his daughter being a thought.
No, I don't think he has. And in fact, in the opposite vein, I think he has defended her and I think he has enabled her. And, this whole thing about him being mentally ill, it's like, dude, you're like what, like 50? I mean, isn't he like 50 or 60 or something?
Bro, we're all mentally ill. It's not an excuse for anything. Find
Yeah.
Christ, my guy.
Dude, that's what I'm saying. It's like, nigga, you are like 50 years old. You are 60 years old. Get your shit figured out. I mean, you are so old now. It's like, if you have not gotten it figured out, you're like at the twilight of your life, my dog. Like you got like 20 years left. Okay. If you have not figured it out, I mean, I would even say like people who are like in their mid 20s and they haven't figured stuff out. And not that you have to necessarily have like every single life aspect figured out, like whether you're married or, what have you. But it's like if you've got all these debilitating problems that just like don't even enable you to like live a semi-normal life, it's like you got deeper problems, dude.
Mm-hmm. Would you say that Joseph Goebbels was a better father than Jordan Peterson?
I have, dang, that's that's kind of a tough one. I mean, I'll tell you this, Joseph didn't go on podcast and, cry over, the bagel seller for, 20 times over.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he might have murdered 5 of his children with cyanide poisoning, but none of them grew up to have sex with Andrew Tate. So
Yeah, I mean, dude, well, it's so funny too, cause like, the whole like thing, like, oh no, like Tate and her definitely didn't do anything. And then like I saw Sam Parker like zoom in on like where Tate's hand was. And I'm like, dog, like that, like, yeah, didn't do anything, by the way.
what
Also,
else?
dude, I just wanted to real quick, Michaela, I just wanted to congratulate her. I wanted to congratulate her on her transitioning. I know it is difficult being a trans woman in her position with a transphobic father like Jordan Peterson, but I just wanted to let her know that we are all standing behind her. We're all so proud of her transitioning. I mean, I know the hormone replacement therapy has been difficult for her, but we're standing by you, queen.
Yeah, wait, why does she have defenders? She's not even like hot. She doesn't even have really any redeemable qualities. Her face is pretty busted. Her body is whatever, but she's a single mother and her father's a faggot. Like what is like desirable about her for these people to be white knighting over her?
Yeah, dude, I have no idea because I mean she's had more guys run through her than like trains on the Thomas the Tank Engine set. And she like look, I mean, she's got like a weirdly sharp jaw. And I don't know about you guys, but like, I don't like women with like really distinct jaws. That looks kind of gay. Like, I mean, I don't want, the opposite where it's like they have like no jaw or anything like that. But I think there's a happy medium where it's like women should have kind of like softer facial features.
Mm-hmm.
If they don't have softer facial features, it either means that they have too much testosterone or, I mean, that's just straight up like a dude pretending to be a woman, bro.
Facts. And I bet she doesn't even receive the Eucharist on the tongue.
That's what I'm saying. Well, she's not even Catholic.
Yeah, exactly. That's funny. What else? Oh, I wanted to talk about do you believe in dinosaurs?
I'm kind of undecided on that, but I've heard some compelling evidence that they're not real.
Based. Yeah, and so I wanted to talk because Candace Owens was like kind of going off about it. I think like last week or something, a couple days ago, about the flat Earth stuff, whatever. And obviously, I submit to to what Nick said, whatever. It's not politically appropriate to advocate for that. I agree, but that aside, I think that questioning science in general at all and mainstream science at all, whatever it is, even if you think the conspiracy theory is crazy and out there, is a net positive. And what bothers me the most, because despite my own personal beliefs, I think I'm more inclined towards the topographical plane model of the Earth or whatever, but I'm not going to debate you over that. But either way, what pisses me off is I don't care if you don't like flat earthers. I don't like a lot of flat earthers too because a lot of them are super anti-Catholic and like retards and into like gay pagan yoga stuff like that, which I don't like. But what pisses me off is when people say like, oh, you can't be a flat earther, you can't be a heliocentrist and be Catholic or whatever. Not true at all. The Catholic Church has never dogmatically declared what you have to believe, how the universe is operating. You have to believe that God created the universe, but the actual how it's working is not like a dogmatically implemented thing that you are required to believe in. And many of our saints and the theologians believed in both the heliocentric model and the flat earth model. All right. So say whatever you want about flat earthers, that they're retarded or it's stupid and crazy and it pushes people away. That's fine, stuff like that. But it pisses me off when people say that, like, oh, if you believe in that, then you're not a real Catholic, or then you whatever. What do you think about that concept?
You know, what I was going to say about that is too many people kind of like act like faggots about the evolution thing. Like, look, dude, if you want to hold to evolution or whatever, that's perfectly fine. And so long as you observe, humane generis and you're within the lines of the magisterium, you're not like, I mean this with all respect and love to him, but like, you're not like Jimmy Akin, like straight up saying, oh, humane generis doesn't apply actually, and I can dissent from it. No, you cannot. Every Catholic has to assent to humane generis. Um, if you assent to those conditions, then yeah, you're in line with the magisterium. That's perfectly fine, right? But these people that like, I remember one time I like denied evolution on Instagram, and I had this faggot in my comment section who was like, "You're promoting anti-science rhetoric and
Yeah.
claiming that this is the Catholic position, and how dare you?" And it's like, number one, I hate that shit. Like, I hate when guys like will do this like tone policing,
Bro, what about
like
when they say, oh, a Catholic priest came up with the Big Bang, as if like, oh, it's a Catholic requirement to believe in the Big Bang now. Like, I hate that so much.
well, and it's like, again, it's fine to believe in the Big Bang. It's fine to not,
Right, but don't
but
say
it's
it's a
just like,
requirement for my faith.
yeah, it's like when people act like that is a determining factor of the orthodoxy of your faith, that is completely ridiculous. And, dude, I'm not gonna lie, I'm just so tired of like piety signalers and tone policers. It's like,
Mhm.
it's like this effeminate group of men that always go out of their way. And I don't mean like legitimate correction, like, look, there are times for legitimate correction where like someone is doing something absurdly sinful and you're like, dog, you can't be doing that. Or like they're actually promoting things that like go against the teaching of the church or what have you. And you're like, dude, come on, let's stop it. Right.
Mhm.
But I mean, there will be times where like I'll post something and like nothing is wrong with it. There's literally zero that is wrong with it. I'll say it right now. The race question. I don't know how many times I have to post something about an actual saint saying, hey, it is good to respect the fact that there are different races and that we should love those races and cherish those races. And I get all these little niggas in the comment section being like, well, race isn't real because I read some retarded book, in high school that said that race isn't real. Except, George Floyd actually was martyred by the horrible police state. And if you say that he wasn't murdered, then you're actually a mean person, right? It's
Mhm.
like, I get all these retarded people, and yes, they are retarded. I'm sorry. Like, you're a fucking brain dead idiot if you seriously think that, like, race is not real, okay? Read a book.
Based.
Sit down and read a fucking book. I'm sorry, but like, I'm so sick of these people who, are in my comment section. Oh, Pine Soup, you're being a white supremacist because you don't want white people to get shot in the street and, ethnically replaced and stuff like that. What's wrong with you? What's wrong with me? What's wrong with you? Have you walked outside? Have you seen what's going on? Our people are literally dying, dude. And you're over here like a faggot on Discord, just like complaining, oh my goodness, I can't believe he posted that meme. I'm gonna go in his DMs and lecture him about how he's not a real Catholic or something like that. Like, fuck you, dude.
Word. So true. What's
I'm
funny to me?
I'm sorry, but it's like this has been like pent up rage, dude. Because like I don't know how many times I literally was like on RZ's Discord, and RZ's awesome, by the way. He didn't lecture me on this, but like I had like other people being like, race isn't real, and you're a white supremacist and stuff like that. It's like, oh yeah, I'm a white supremacist because I don't want my people to be killed and I want them to thrive. Yeah, well, that makes me a white supremacist. Then so be it.
Mhm. My favorite is that it's so funny that these people of all different like right wing factions or whatever pick and choose what conspiracy theories are okay to believe in and what are just too crazy beyond belief. like there's a large portion of the population, right, that will believe that there is this large Jewish Zionist conspiracy to take over the world and make Israel the center power domain. They rule over a low IQ, multicultural, subservient class of peasants that work for them, essentially. Basically, they believe in this grand New World Order conspiracy where Jews control everything, right? And that's fine. But you merely suggest that the space agencies, which are part of the government institutions that these same people are saying are controlled by Jews and lie and manipulate, but you merely suggest that the space agencies might be lying about what we know about the universe, and maybe it's some type of like money laundering scheme or way to control the masses, or maybe it's like an economical scheme where they can promote different jobs and stuff, and they're not telling us everything that we need to know. Like you're all of a sudden you're like a psychotic, crazy person, and all these other like all these right wingers are like, oh, you're gonna make us look stupid and scary and crazy and stuff like that. And it sucks because you should be able to have an open conversation, just like you want to have an open conversation about Hitler and stuff like that. You should have an open conversation on the founding of NASA, how literal occultists and Satanists started this rocket program, how a lot of the stuff that NASA has told us about how the Earth works has been demonstrably disproven, and it shouldn't be a crazy thing. But unfortunately, it is. That's like a bigger taboo than talking about Jews at the moment, right? And our immediate political goals are to get Christians in power and spread America's first message. So flat Earth really doesn't fit into that, like at the moment. So I think that like openly promoting that type of stuff is not really just where we are at culturally, despite what you believe or disbelieve, just because the social impact of doing that is just not where we're at. It's not conducive to like our immediate political goals. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I would basically say like, even though I think that the Earth is round and stuff like that, I don't
Britain,
think
Globetard.
that.
Sorry, God.
I know, dude. I'm a globetard. I don't think that you need to like freak out on people. I mean, I guess what I hate to see from some people, like kind of more on our sides of things, is like someone will deny that like the Earth is round, and they'll have a conniption over it. But it's like if
Yeah,
someone
it's like
denies the
it's crazy.
divinity of our Lord, they're like, oh, well, that's okay, and like just let that person be or what have you. And I'm like, that's a bigger deal to me than if someone says like the Earth isn't round, dude. Like,
Hmm.
let's be honest, right?
Facts. So true. Well, yeah, I believe, I believe that, like, you know who, what's his name? Admiral Byrd is? Did you ever hear of him?
I have heard of him.
Yeah, so he's like one of the most famous explorers, and he said that on a mission to Antarctica, he found a landmass that was the same size as America that was unexplored. So I think there's like more land that they're not telling us about. I think that's a big possibility. Some more crazy stuff that I believe in is I think the Earth is like less than 10,000 years old, like 7,000 years old. I believe that dinosaurs are fake and gay, and they were made up in like the 1800s by Jewish scientists to promote the theory of evolution, which is also fake and gay. They basically just combined or conflated macro and micro evolution to make it seem like something it is. We did not develop from one-celled organisms. That's fake and gay. The first people were Adam and Eve. Also, oh yeah, dinosaurs didn't exist, but dragons and giants did exist. And yeah, I think that's about it. What about you, Bicep? Where are you on the spectrum?
I mean, my basic thing is like, I mean, I don't know. The most common things people try and nick me for, um, or they have a big problem with is like when I say I'm incel, because they're like it's Volcel. Number one, Volcel sounds gay. I'm just gonna be honest. Like Volcel does not sound cool or edgy. It sounds
Yeah,
just kind of
sounds
like,
like vulva, like a lady female part, which is gay.
yeah, it sounds like you're saying like ball cell. It's like, well, what does that mean, right? You know, it doesn't hit hard because, like, for instance, like I'll say I'm incel, not because I'm quote unquote involuntary celibate in a manner of like I'm a basement dweller or anything like that. But the reason I say that, and I don't know how many times I've had to explain this to people, the left uses that term to delegitimize whatever you're saying because the whole way that they work on political legitimacy is how many like women you're pulling, right? They're like, well, if you're not getting a bunch of women to sleep with you and you're not getting a bunch of girls' attention and stuff like that with your political opinions, then they're not valid or workable, right? And, in that way they would say you're an incel. And so for you to embrace the term and say, hey, I am an incel, meaning it is involuntary for me to, not care about the fact that I'm not, whether I'm getting women or not is completely irrelevant, right? That's an involuntary feeling for me. I feel that I'm basically saying like, I feel that so deeply, I don't give a shit. Like, I'm going to do the right thing and I'm going to pursue the right goals and follow God, whether or not that gets me a woman, right? And so that's why we say incel. We say incel because it's like a doubling down. It's basically like saying like, I care about the flesh so little, it might as well be involuntary. Like, it might as well be an involuntary feeling, right?
Mm-hmm.
And even after I've just explained that, like, I'll still get dudes
No,
probably email.
nobody's gonna, bro. We've been talking about this. When was the Jeremy Bannister thing that we did? 2 years ago now,
Yeah,
bro.
they you
We
either
were having
get
this
it or you don't.
conversation. They're not gonna get it at this point. They don't understand word appropriation. It's like a generational gap. They don't understand like how like linguistic terminology or like internet culture, how words become memes and appropriation of stuff like that. Like they're just retarded. They're never gonna get it. So if they don't get it, just okay. It's okay. Just okay. Whatever. Let them go.
That's what I'm saying. I'm just gonna keep putting out tweets that offend people, and they're gonna be like, "It's Volcel, and stuff
Yeah.
like that."
Uh,
I'm gonna just do the vomiting emoji after they say that. But
mhm. And
but on
it's like constant too. It's like they'll just keep going. Oh, but what about this? But I don't understand what this means. And that's why it gets to the point where then you're just like you just want to troll them and be like, well, Elliot Rogers is like our king actually. So like,
That's so keck, dude. The other thing that like I think I've gotten the most heat for, and people really have not let this one go. Like the incel thing, I think the incel thing, most people are kind of like, whatever. But they're like, oh, but Pine Sap's a hater because race mixing, and like my whole thing is like, look. I have always said the church's teaching, it's not a sin, it's not evil or anything like that. But what I follow up with is it is evil to promote race mixing on a mass scale because then that means that our race will not exist,
well,
right?
yeah, well, it's evil to promote it with the intention of like getting rid of a race, which is what
Yes.
Jews
It,
have literally explicitly said that they want to, and people that are pro multiculturalism. Fun fact: my favorite 300-pound theologian that has a black wife said it in his comments. That said, oh, maybe it's good to promote race mixing because then it'll get rid of racism. Right? And it's like, oh, really? So it'll by getting rid of like the white race or any type of identity or anything like that, that's going to end racism. That's an evil intention because you're trying to destroy a specific people or an identity. So promoting a race mixing in that way is evil, right? It's not inherently evil to do it or whatever, but if you're doing it with the intention of those, then yeah, that's evil.
yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where it's like you are you are promoting something that's killing white people, and look, if you happen to be, if your wife happens to be a different race than you and you are, maybe white or whatever, and, God has called you together to get married, I literally have never been opposed to that. In fact, one of my best friends, one of my mentors, he's not even white and he happens to be married to a white woman, right? But he's also not a coomer. He's a great, respectable man who married his wife because he loves her and she's a devout Catholic woman.
Mhm.
He wasn't like, oh, I'm being naughty by taking one of the white women, right? I mean, here's what it is. It's like all these like Hispan dad freaks who are like, bro, like I want to like conquer your white women and take your white women. And if you have like a problem with that, like you're like a racist and not Catholic. And it's like, number one, hey, great job, numbnuts, trying to use our faith to hide behind your disgusting like porn addiction, right? Absolutely fucking blasphemous. And then, on top of that, it's like, you're just a coomer. Just say what you are. I would have more respect for you if you did not try to vainly use our faith to like hide your weird fetish than, if you just came right out and said, yeah, I'm a coomer and I'm also an anti-white racist and stuff like that. And that's just my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't know. I think that when it comes to the race mix, I feel like we've talked about it so much, and that was actually like the meme of our show. It's like race mixing, Hitler, flat Earth, like right. It's like
Yeah.
for so long, right?
No, it's real.
But
No,
yeah, no, it's true. But if you're like, like I said, if you're in a mixed race relationship or something like that, and oh, you truly love each other or whatever it is, it doesn't mean like it's inherently sinful. But the reason that they have to promote it so much, and the reason that there's so much propaganda, and every Netflix show and every movie shows all of them being in mixed race relationship, is because it is not natural. right? Now, obviously, forced multiculturalism and mass immigration is obviously going to exacerbate miscegenation naturally. But if you look at the statistics, less than 10% of marriages and relationships are mixed race because people are naturally inclined towards procreating with people that look like them and share their values. It's natural human instincts, right? So that just shows that they're trying to say that you're an evil person if you're like, no, I want my kids to look like me. I want to live in a community of people who share my culture and are part of the same heritage and ancestors and stuff like that. They try to pathologize that, even though we can clearly see that all throughout human history, for thousands of years, that has been our natural human nature to remain within our own subgroups of ethnic cultural diversity, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, and you know, I mean, like you said, we talked about this subject like a ton. We basically beat it to death. I just, you know, everyone, I've complained about this before. Everyone, when it comes to like content like ours, is cool on X and cool on Telegram and even cool on YouTube for that matter, or Cozy or wherever. But it's like you go to Instagram and you post anything and it's like all these like sub 80 IQ midwits who just can't like, you know, put two building blocks together, let alone understand like what you're trying to say.
Hmm. So true. Um, what else? What else was there to talk about? Oh, the millennial saint, right? Acutis, he became an official saint.
Yeah, he did.
Based.
Yeah,
Okay.
or he his official canonization I don't think will happen till 2025, but like it's a shoe in. Like he is considered a saint.
Hmm. Yeah, I didn't know a lot about him until relatively recently, but like he was only like 15 years old when he died, and like his life, he lived like he did so much and accomplished so much. It was crazy.
Dude, it's insane. Like he really was just an incredibly pious man.
He
And
like
the
what
fact that
did
he made, like a website for
yeah.
Eucharistic miracles and stuff like that, it was cool that he like used the internet in such an early time to like really help spread the faith, you know?
Mhm. He died in 2006, right?
Yeah, he died in 2006.
And then so what is the process of becoming a saint? They have to determine that two miracles were attributed to them.
Yes, they have to. I'm pretty sure they have to attribute two miracles to you and to your intercession. You have to have lived you know, a devout life because, you know, for instance, like people who dissent from the church, or you know, they were known for being kind of living a double life or what have you, like would not be considered saints because they are not like models of virtue that would that would essentially constitute being a saint. So I believe it's those two miracles have to be attributed to you, and you have had to have lived a very devout Catholic life. You know.
Hmm. So, well, I mean, there'd probably be exceptions though, like with martyrs, right?
Oh, for sure. Well. What do you mean by exceptions?
Like the process for sainthood for a martyr
Oh,
is that you
yes,
died for the faith regardless of your soul's uh, state, right?
yes. You're correct about that.
Okay, dope. So yeah, either live a godly life or die for the faith, but we should try to do both, right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean,
um,
either way.
yeah. What else was did we want to discuss today? Did you have
Let's
anything
see.
specific?
What did you text me?
I don't know. Wasn't there? What is going on with the beef with Michael Lofton?
Oh, so Michael Lofton. I think the beef kind of stems from the fact that like Michael is very arrogant.
Yeah.
And he's kind of arrogant in a way that's kind of bordered on obnoxious to the point where, I mean, like, for instance, like Edward Fazer, you know, I don't necessarily agree with Edward Fazer, like all his sort of political, or not, his church politics takes or what have you. But you know, he is like a devout Catholic and stuff like that. And, you know, Michael Lofton like insulted him and called him a schismatic. He said that like Cardinal Zen shouldn't be a cardinal. Like he's just kind of thrown his weight around a lot, so to speak. And it's gotten to the point where I think he's taken this sort of path where he views himself like as immune from criticism, just because he thinks that he has all the right takes on things. You know what I mean?
Hmm. Yeah. And yeah, I mean, I was learning more about his lore because I didn't know, and I didn't realize that apparently he started reason theology with a bunch of people, and then he kind of like when it got a little popular, he kind of like pushed them out to try to take over or whatever. And also, like I was saying before, he has like he's married to a black woman, which whatever. But he literally has been in the comments where he was like, "What's wrong with promoting race mixing or whatever?" And they were like, "Well, why would that be a good thing?" And he was like, "So we can get rid of racism and stuff like that." So he's obviously has he's very socially liberal, despite him being he's very orthodox theologically, I would say. And I would also say that I still appreciate him because he basically prevented me from becoming a sedevacantist with his series on Vatican II. But like you said, he's very arrogant and pompous, and he is clearly socially liberal, and is clearly not loyal to the people around him, showing that everybody clearly has problems with him now. That was in his circle.
Yeah, I mean, you have to ask yourself. It's like, why does Eric Ybarra not talk to him anymore?
Right, the
You know,
biggest sweetheart in the world.
yeah. Well, and I mean, admittedly, I don't necessarily agree with. I even have some critiques of Eric's approach to church politics and stuff like that. But also, like, I'm not going to stop being his friend or in good graces with him just because of that, right?
Yeah,
I mean, essentially, it's like Michael has just taken this very like brash approach to how he deals with everybody. And I think his real problem is just he's arrogant, right?
he just
If,
blocks everybody, right?
yeah, he just blocks everybody. I mean, the one interaction that kind of actually set my opinion against him. Now, I will admit, I think he's still very good at defending Pope Francis. I think he's still very good at like, you know, bringing up relevant facts to light about those cases that, are super intriguing information. I mean, for instance, like, the whole exorcism, one of the best episodes he ever did, and it actually wasn't a full stream. It was just like an 8-minute, video that he did, was actually on the exorcism of Emily Rose. And you heard like a lot of SSPX people saying, "Oh, well, the demon and the exorcism of or not Emily Rose, Annalise Michel, said that like it was a shame that the church wasn't following Archbishop Lefebvre." But if you actually look at the notes of the exorcism, the most preeminent exorcist that kind of like looked at the case and what have you, he actually comments on that section because like
They would be lying, right? Like that the demon's lying.
no. Not that the demons lie. It's that they misread what the demon said. The
Mm.
demon is lamenting the fact that the church is not following this man. Well, you have to ask yourself, why would a demon lament someone not following someone else? Wouldn't that necessarily mean that the demon would want you to follow that person because that person would lead you out to the church?
Right.
Right? Like, the demon wouldn't lament, for instance, like, people following or not following the
Right.
Pope.
So
They
they're suffering because people are not following him.
exactly,
They're
right?
not becoming schismatic and leaving the true church, which would be good for the devil.
Exactly. Well, in the preceding question, a lot of people don't bring this up. The preceding question was about Hans Kuhn, who Hans Kuhn was recently, I think at that point, excommunicated from the church for all of his heresies and stuff like that, right? And because of that, he brought up the name of Hans Kuhn and the devil or the demons that were possessing Annalise Michel said like, yes, we have inspired him to do that.
Hmm.
Like we've inspired his descent. And then like the priest asked about Lefebvre because his case was very popular at that time. That was very popular in Catholic news. And he says, oh, the bishop, pity, no one believes him. Right?
Hmm.
Like pity that more people are not following him. Right?
Hmm. Yeah.
And the exorcist notes are actually like fantastic, dude, on that section. Like it's a banger quote. I posted it onto X actually, but he basically says he's like demons will use either schism or heresy to lead people outside of the church. Like in the case of Hans Kuhn, it's heresy, right? They'll use like errors to lead people outside the church. But in the case of someone like Lefebvre, who otherwise has like a lot of orthodoxy or a lot of tradition, they will use those good elements and intermingle them with things that are not so good in order to lead people outside the church.
Hmm. Facts. Um. Yeah. Word. What was the question I wanted to ask you? Crud. I forgot. Um. any other subjects you wanted to cover?
Oh man, I'm trying
Before
to
we
think.
open, I want to take some calls, some
That
people
sounds
if they
good.
want. So all right, so if anybody wants to ask any questions or give any statements, I guess raise your hand. How does this? Oh, how do I make you like the host person?
I think you would maybe tap on me and say like, make co-host.
Invite to co-host. Okay, send co-host invite. All right, so
Okay, I just accepted it.
okay, cool. So anybody who wants to speak can invite to speak. Oh, what was the thing that Pope Francis was gonna sign about the women being in leadership positions?
Oh, I don't remember if we talked about that at the beginning, but I haven't seen a whole lot about the document yet. I've kind of been following the news a little bit, but I mean, I essentially said on Wurz's show the other day, the document's probably just going to be about like, women being on like the parish council or whatever, which, they've already been doing
Hmm. Oh,
for some time.
that's what I wanted to say. Do you think that like I don't know if you noticed it, but I feel like as opposed to like a year or two ago, the ortho bros and the rad trads and all those other like type of fags that would always be counter signaling normal Catholics and stuff like that have been a lot like less irritating over the last couple of months or so. Now we have a couple of like big Protestant accounts that suck and continue to like blast Catholics and stuff like that. But I feel like because Nick Fuentes defends the Pope so openly and like explicitly, that has like made the like culture of Twitter far more like willing to like defend the Pope. What do you think about that?
I completely agree with that because I think in another way, it also was they've had their own kind of like crushing blows. I mean, in the case of like the Mad Trads basically live in perpetual like negativity, right? Like they're not really like ever happy. And that's something that like a lot of people have like criticized kind of about that whole mindset is like you're always seething, you're always like angry about something. It's never like you're never kind of at peace, right? And it kind of runs contrary to being spiritually healthy, right? Which is a good sign of whether you're, in lockstep with the Holy Spirit or you're kind of like out of lockstep with the Holy Spirit. Likewise, the Ortho Bros, I mean, they've just been taking L after L. It's like the schism between like Greece and Alexandria Greece and Alexandria on the one hand and then Moscow on the other has only been getting worse and worse and worse. And on top of that, it's like Alexandria is now fully permitting women deacons that, by the way, are not even like really different in their function from like a normal deacon. Like, they're not even like the early church deaconesses that, were basically just proto nuns and they would like help women with baptism because, that way so like a bishop or whatever priest was not like looking at a woman naked. Um, they're not even those kinds of deaconesses. They're just straight up like female male deacons, right?
Uh
And
huh.
so I feel like it's really took kind of the sting out of a lot of their apologetics. And on top of that too, I mean, like Christian Wagner, I credit with a lot of that too on the Orthobros side because, the fact that he like beat David
Oh,
Earnhardt
and that
and
Jay Dyer clip, bro. That like that he did like that 10 minute Jay Dyer clip I saw of him was crazy, bro. Jay Dyer looked like a retard.
well, and like I'm a lot cooler with Jay now. We had actually reconciliation that same day, which was very beautiful to see. But yeah, I mean, like Jay, let's be honest, Jay not in that interaction by any means.
Yeah.
And I think with all of that, it's like sort of their heroes because the main thing with like the Eastern Orthodox guys for a while was, and this was something I complained about like really sort of a year ago with that apologetical sphere was so many Catholics were focusing on Protestant. It was always about Protestants. It was always about addressing Protestants' concerns. And it's like, yes, but like we have so many materials on that now. It's basically like beating a dead horse. I mean, it's like, how many more times are you going to have to like disprove sola scriptura? It's like we've done it already, big guy.
Mm-hmm.
But
Facts.
but the ortho guys, right? Like very few people besides like Elijah Yasi or like Eric Ybarra or what have you were making, or even Michael Lofton for that matter, were making content about them and properly addressing like the apologetics that they would bring up. And so I started to complain. I'm like, more Catholics need to be involved because what's happening is either Protestants are then considering Eastern Orthodoxy because they're like, oh, well, I'm not seeing a bunch of Catholic, addressing of these claims, so therefore they must be like impeachable, right? Or like unimpeachable. Or, you had Catholics who would be like scandalized and they'd be like, oh, well, I guess like there's no Catholic rebuttal to these claims. When in reality, I was like pouring through even like old books from like the time of like Vatican I that were like saying kind of just wild and crazy stuff that like not only like would defeat those claims, but like just straight up like would affirm your faith. You're like, damn, I really am a part of the true church. Like this is insane.
Yep. So true. All right, we got Lucas Scott Roberts who wants to talk. Hello.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Hey, man.
It's going good.
Hey,
What's up?
so two really quick questions. What are your thoughts on Catholics who like drive past their local Novus Ordo parish to go to like a more traditional Latin Mass? And then second question was, can a Western Catholic attend an Eastern Catholic parish without LARPing?
Yeah, absolutely. Uh,
So, oh, go ahead, bro.
no, go ahead. I would say that, well, I mean, you'll probably give a more intellectual answer, but I would say to the first one, as long as the church you're going to is in communion with Rome and you're not going for any ill intentions or you're not denying that the Novus Ordo was legitimate or something like that, if you have a personal preference for the Latin Mass, there's nothing wrong with going to that Mass, as long as, like I said, as long as it's in communion with Rome. And what was the second question again?
So like, I'm Western, right? I don't
Oh yeah,
have
you
any.
can go. Can you go to the Eastern Mass? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm a Western Rite Catholic, but I love to go occasionally to the Eastern Byzantine Mass because it's beautiful and I love it. I think eventually I might even change rites depending on what happens in my life. But yeah, it's totally fun to do that.
Yeah, I mean, what I would say is like for the first question, I think as long as you don't have, because what I sometimes see people say is they're like, okay, I guess the Novus Ordo is like a valid liturgy or whatever, but it's evil and it's awful or whatever. I would even caution against a mindset like that. I would say if you're like, hey, I love the Novus Ordo, I think the Novus Ordo is awesome, but I just found this really, really good parish that does a lot of mass and I really, vibe with that parish. I think that's perfectly fine. And I don't think that makes someone, sort of rest in a like problematic position. So that's totally fine. And, in regards to the Byzantine rite, here's what I've always said, and this is kind of an unpopular statement, but like I'm not super into people switching rights unless they have a very distinct and good reason for doing so. Because sometimes I view it as people kind of I view it as like sometimes like a liturgical retreat. Like they're like, oh, well, if I don't have a Latin mass near me, then I'm going to go to the divine liturgy instead of the Novus Ordo. And it's like, dude, you're a Roman Rite Catholic. Like, like you can totally attend the Eastern liturgy. That's fine. But it's like, don't be doing this like liturgical escapism. That's cringe, right? And that's LARPy. But if you're attending the divine liturgy, I mean, I still attend the divine liturgy on occasion. And I think every Catholic actually should because, and likewise every Eastern Catholic should attend, I think the Roman Rite on occasion because I think it shows just the unity, that we have in the body of Christ as all being Catholics. But on top of that, I think also too, if, you feel really drawn to sort of the Eastern expression of Catholicism and you're finding a lot of spiritual nourishment there, I do think it is perfectly fine to right switch. But I just don't want people doing this like LARPy, this LARPy stint. Cause I mean, I'll tell a very, very quick story. There was a guy in Spexo and I's chat who, I think he was like a sub deacon or something like that. I can't remember what his role was, but he was like this like almost like 19-year-old guy. He was like a
Oh,
sub
and
deacon.
he's always like trying to be better than everybody because we were laymen, right? That guy.
Yeah, and he would always like, I mean, he was so full of himself, dude. Like I'm glad we banned him from chat. Like he was so full of himself and he's like, yeah, I'm basically just like awesome and cool at everything that I do. Cause
And he
like,
kept getting reprimanded by his bishops, and then he eventually got fired.
he did because he literally was showing his kids Andrew Tate videos in catechism class, dude. Like, what the hell are you doing, right? And so because he got reprimanded and he got fired from his job, he then transferred to the Eastern Rite and he became like this. He became. And I'm not calling Eastern Catholics this. I'm a huge Eastern Catholic defender. I'm calling just this kid this. a biz larper. He was like the Western right is just not as cool, and like I'm Byzantine now. It's like, buddy, we all know that you got fired, and now you're like resentful, and it's like the kid who like resents his dad because he wouldn't let him go party on a Saturday night. Like, come on, man.
Mm-hmm. Crazy. All right. Anything else, Lucas? Hello.
I think you're muted, buddy.
You're muted, Lucas.
Oh, okay, he dipped out.
Oh,
Well,
all
that's
right.
okay. Does anyone else want to raise their hand?
Oh, did you see Nick's Jim Bro rant the other day?
Dude, I loved that rant. And I'll tell you why I love that rant. Number one, I'm not counter signaling working out. Hey, I can work out more myself, right? And I'm starting to. But like it's not even because like working out is bad or anything like that. That stuff is all fantastic and great. But oh my goodness, if I have to hear like one more gym bro, like, because some of these guys, it's like give you like these unsolicited sort of like, yeah, like unsolicited advice, or they'll like think that they're like helping you, and they'll just be ranting about like, I don't know, nutrition or dieting or like some lift or whatever, and it's like it makes it them very, very off-putting. I mean, like, how annoying is it, like, for some guy to super chat Nick and be like, you need to stop eating McDonald's and you need to go work out at a gym. It's like, listen, dude, Nick isn't, Nick wasn't born yesterday. If he wants to go do that, he's gonna go do that. But instead, why don't you just, like, shut up and keep it to yourself, right? I get so tired of these guys who, like, barge their way in and think that, like, everyone wants to hear them, give their unsolicited advice. It's very annoying, and, like, it shows like a certain level of like social retardation, right? Like you just don't know what's like socially appropriate to like talk with people about.
Mm-hmm. Yep, totally. And I think that gym bros are like literally they have this. It's like a mental illness, like homosexuality. If you think about it, like they have the same lifestyle too. Like everything they do is to maintain like their gay lifestyle or whatever. Like they have protein shakes and stuff like that is equivalent to like their prep HIV medication that they always have to take or whatever, and whatever their diapers and stuff like that. They're basically living a parallel life to homosexuals by maintaining this thing, and it's always for like aesthetic purposes, which is the gayest thing in the world. Who are you trying to look good for? Oh, just myself, bro. No, you're trying to look good because you want to get girls, because you have no personality and you probably have short man syndrome and stuff like that. Because most of these gym bros are like super short or whatever. And like Nick said, probably ugly in the face or whatever. So they have to just build their body because that's all they have. They have no personality or charisma. So they just become gym bros and then they think they're tough or whatever. So yeah, it's very, very gay. And, it's their entire identity. They have nothing outside of that. It's crazy. Alexander Sutkowski. Hi, you're a speaker now. You can talk.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes.
sir.
Oh, hi. I have two questions, which I've been thinking about lately. And this is a question about, because I really maybe cannot understand the term. What is meant by the spirit of Vatican II?
Well, the spirit of Vatican II doesn't entail the actual council. What it entails is a perceived view that people had after the council, and not all people, mind you, just very progressive, heretics who wanted to exploit the event of having a council to sort of be like, oh, the church is modernized and we don't do all that Catholic stuff anymore. I mean, like, you have examples, for instance, of like, some of these young progressives who claim that like, we weren't supposed to pray the rosary anymore, right?
What?
Yeah, I mean stuff like that like the council didn't even touch on, um, or write anything negative
This
about,
is
right?
evil.
Well, it is, and so what it was essentially progressive clerics saying, "Look, the council happened. I know that like probably 90% of my congregants aren't ever going to get a chance to like actually read the documents themselves or pour over them. So I'm going to pretend like it was this massive, sort of like paradigm shift in the life of the church, and that way, they will be progressive heretics like I am, right?" And so, like I said, it had nothing to do with the council itself. And there were even really illustrious churchmen who were worried about having a council in the 20th century because of this spirit kind of already existing in the church prior to Vatican II. In fact, Cardinal Billiot and Cardinal Mary Duval both had writings where they said, I'm worried about a council happening. Cardinal Billiot actually distinctly wrote Pius XI because Pius XI was actually thinking of opening a council under his pontificate. And he said, the reason you should not open a council is not because that council wouldn't be perfectly orthodox, showing that Cardinal Billiot knew, whatever the council proclaimed would be fully in line with the perennial teaching of the church. He said the reason you shouldn't open it is that there are so many modernists and heretics in the church right now that they're going to exploit the event of having a council in order to mislead people, misguide people.
Interrupt real quick. All right, so we have two other people that want to speak. I have like 9 minutes, so
Yeah. So, Alexander, that was a great question. I
All
think
right.
we're going to need to
Thank you
get
very
to
much.
Paul the Seventh and Amanda.
All right. So it is a mostly negatively. It's a negative term, right?
Yes, it is. Of
Okay. Good. Thank you very much. That was the question.
course, buddy.
Goodbye.
love you. All right, go ahead, Paul.
Howdy guys, Pine Sap. Great to speak to you. So I'm, my question, I guess I'll just I want to get your take on something essentially. So, I've been following, Dr. E. Michael Jones for a long time, a number of years, and I think there are a variety of Catholic intellectuals who offer different kinds of expertise, but his particular kind is very unique and,
He's wrong on race.
say again?
No, he's wrong on race, but go on, sorry.
Yeah, no, so I think he is incorrect about certain of his views regarding race, and this actually has something to do with that. So, so just to clarify, I wouldn't take Jones's particular view on race, but I also wouldn't take the particular view that somebody like Jared Taylor would have. But it's come to my attention that E. Michael Jones and his team, they were trying to negotiate a spot for FPAC 4, and they were in contact with Nick's folks. And I think E. Michael Jones was up front because he discovered that Jared Taylor was going to be there, and Jones was up front about the fact that he wanted to provide a kind of alternate perspective on the race question at FPAC 4, and after he made that explicit, Nick's team sort of disinvited him or ghosted him. And even though I would disagree with Dr. Jones on the race question, I don't think he's being disingenuous. I don't think he's being subversive. I think he actually believes what he claims to believe about it, and it just seems like something of a black pill. I love Nick, but and I understand maybe why, if he had already invited Jared Taylor, he didn't want to create conflict on that particular issue. But
Right, but
yeah,
it's a he said, she said type of situation too, though, right?
Well,
Because
actually, no. I do have news from the horse's mouth because I was in the chats when this went down. So I actually do have Nick's words on this. So the actual story is Nick invited, right, E. Michael Jones as even a VIP. He was invited as a VIP, right, and had a VIP position. And EMJ said, the only way I'm coming is if I have a speaking role. Now, I don't care who you are. That is very arrogant to say. You get invited as a VIP to something and you say, well, I'm only going to come if I get to do my speech. I'm only going to come if I get to say what I want to say. And it's like, well, dude, you're being invited as a VIP. Like, that's a great honor within itself, right? Like, be humble, dude, and accept the gift that you've been given. And so that's what Nick did. And he said, hey, cause I mean, E. Michael Jones lives in that area too, I think like 20 to 40 minutes away. And, because he invited him as a VIP, he's like, hey, we'd love for you to come and stuff like that. And EMJ said, no, I only want to come if I have a speaking role. Well, I'm sorry. I don't care who you are. That's rude.
yeah,
And I
right,
think E.
but
Michael Jones took an L.
Yeah, but even hypothetically, like I believe that that is what actually happened. But even hypothetically, if E. Michael Jones is his version happened, where he's saying that he was just ghosted because he said that, oh well, I want to offer a different perspective on the race question than you guys have, or something like that. Wouldn't it still be a reasonable thing that, okay, well, I don't want him to speak at my convention if he's going to be promoting something that directly goes against our platform? Like, yeah, there might be speakers that have different disagreements, but if you're explicitly mentioning your intentions to voice like explicitly antithetical views to what the platform is promoting, wouldn't it be reasonable to suggest that, okay, then I wouldn't want you to speak at my event? Right. So either way, I still think that E. Michael Jones is in the wrong, though I believe obviously what Nick said.
Yeah, I don't think it's completely unreasonable on the basis of what you just said. I hope that it doesn't, the disagreement doesn't breed a kind of disunity between E. Michael Jones and Nick himself, but also between their respective audiences, because
Yeah. I think E.
I
Michael
think,
Jones lost the opportunity to meld a lot of his audience with Nick Fuentes too. But
Well, I mean, I've said this before about EMJ. He's a very, very, very smart man, extremely smart, smarter than I will ever be, and smarter than many
yeah,
of us. But
he's just out of touch. He's my favorite author though.
he's arrogant.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, dude, you're right. He's out of touch and he's arrogant, and sometimes he doesn't get his way on something, which, if not getting your way was touching a point of like Catholic orthodoxy, I'd perfectly understand, and not only understand, but fully agree with his stringence. But since what is being brought up does not touch on a point of Catholic orthodoxy, and is actually like an extension of that orthodoxy, because we do have racial views that are promoted by the church and stuff like that, right? And views of race that are fully in line with the magisterium.
Bro, and
He's just he's just creating nonsense for no reason. But sorry, go ahead, brother.
he literally said that you having a white identity and a Catholic identity are mutually exclusive. Like you can't have them at the same time. That's literally heterodox. Like you
It's
look
ass.
at what you could look in the catechism. It literally talks about how we appreciate the different cultures and stuff like that. And it says something along the lines like we can appreciate and get things from other cultures, but sometimes when we force mixing them together, it creates conflict and stuff like that. Like all these things, and you look at what popes have said in the past, Pope Pius and stuff like that, talking about how men have the right to fight for their nation and stuff like that. Like racial identity and Catholicism are not antithetical. It's actually kind of heterodox to deny the reality of race, because
I
that
would agree.
denies God's creation.
I would fully agree. And on top of that too, it's like, cause this is what I get always from the race deniers. They're like, oh, well, who's white? Because this person wasn't considered white by Benjamin Franklin in, 1700. It's like, okay, listen, I don't give a damn about what, old Ben Frank has to say. Ethnography and, sort of racial anthropology is objective, right? There are people that are have closer, alliances, or not alliances, but have closer ties to one another through genetics, through race, through lineage than other people. And that's race. And isn't it curious how this only seems to come up when we talk about white people? This doesn't come up when we talk about like black people. This doesn't come up when we talk about Asian people, because these people will then easily say, oh, yeah, this person might be Malaysian or this person might be like Vietnamese, but they're all under the larger umbrella of Asian, right? But it only comes up with white people, and it's because these people are implicitly anti-white. And I will rest my laurels on that, right? I will stand by that statement. These people are implicitly anti-white. They do not like white people. They don't like white people organizing, and they're like a fifth column in a spoke in our wheel.
Word. All right. I'm sorry, myself. I gotta kind of cut it short.
No, it's okay, buddy.
All right.
I
So
gotta go. I gotta go get pizza anyhow, so you're all
nice.
good.
All right, but yeah. All right. Awesome. Good episode. It was another off the cuff thing. We gotta do it more. Um, Anything else you want to say before we go?
No, except one thing, man. Hey,
Yes.
buddy, I love you. Loved hanging out with you again, and we'll do more of this. That's all I want to say.
Absolutely awesome. It is awesome that I am your usher and I have made you famous and you have such an awesome platform. And
Yes.
it was great to finally meet you. We're not going to wear cargo shorts anymore. And, and awesome. Yes. More streams soon. Love you guys. God bless. Bye.
Love you, buddy. God bless.